Most people fear silence. They equate it with weakness, with being passive, with not having anything to say. But silence, when intentional and rooted in self-awareness, is one of the most powerful tools you can possess. It's not about holding your tongue out of fear. It's about choosing peace over proving a point. It's about mastering the moment instead of reacting emotionally. When you realize that not everything requires your energy, your words, or your presence, you unlock a level of power most people never reach. In a world that thrives on noise, online debates, social media oversharing, constant commentary, being silent feels unnatural to some. We're conditioned to speak up, to react, to explain ourselves, to announce our every move. But there's something incredibly bold and unshakable about the person who says nothing and simply keeps moving. Not because they don't have something to say, but because they've outgrown the need to say it. They understand that peace is louder than chaos, that progress, healing, and transformation don't require validation. Silence allows you to recalibrate. It's the space where you begin to hear your own thoughts instead of absorbing the noise of the world. It's where you tap into your intuition and start making decisions based on what's right for you, not what's trending, not what's expected, and definitely not what other people think. When you're silent, you're not distracted, you're not wasting time responding to opinions that don't matter or explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You're preserving your energy. You're redirecting it to things that actually move you forward. This kind of silence isn't passive, it's intentional, it's strategic. It says, I'm too busy building to be bothered. It says, I don't need to clap back. I'm letting my actions speak. Think about the last time you engaged in something that drained you. Maybe it was an argument that led nowhere, a debate with someone who didn't want to understand, or a moment where you felt the need to prove your worth. Now ask yourself, did any of it help you grow? Did it bring you peace? Did it align with who you're becoming? Most of the time, it didn't. Because not everything deserves your energy. Silence teaches you discipline. It teaches you how to respond, not react. When you stop letting the outside world dictate your internal state, you regain control. You stop being a slave to emotion. You stop being baited into negativity. And most importantly, you stop giving your power away. But there's a reason the most dangerous people in the room are the quietest. They're not operating from ego. They're observing, they're calculating, they know their worth, so they don't have to shout about it. That same energy applies to your growth. The more grounded you are, the less you need to prove. And when you're solid in who you are, you no longer need to convince anyone else. Let people assume. Let them wonder what you're up to. You don't owe anyone an update. You don't owe them access. The less people know about your life, the more peaceful it becomes. Silence creates mystery, not for the sake of being elusive, but for the sake of preserving your sanctuary. Your silence is your shield. It protects your goals while they're still growing. It protects your peace while you're still healing. It protects your energy while you're still leveling up. And when the results start showing, they speak volumes. You never have to tell people you've changed, they'll feel it. You don't have to announce your comeback, they'll see it. The growth you've cultivated in silence will echo louder than anything you could have said, because in the end, talk fades, noise fades. But what you build, who you become, and how you carry yourself in silence, that's lasting. So if you're in a season where you're quiet, focused, and staying to yourself, don't question it. Don't let the world trick you into thinking you're falling behind because you're not posting, not engaging, not making noise. You're not falling behind. You're rising above. You're tuning in. You're choosing strength over ego, discipline over drama, peace over performance. The world you experience every day is a direct reflection of what's happening inside you. It doesn't start on the outside, it starts within. Your mindset, your emotional state, your level of self-worth, all of it silently broadcasts a frequency that shapes your reality. People respond to your energy more than your words. Opportunities respond to your confidence more than your qualifications. Life starts aligning not when you change the world, but when you change how you carry yourself through it. When you're calm inside, you start noticing how much less chaos shows up around you. When you feel worthy, you stop chasing validation and start attracting respect. When you begin treating yourself like someone who matters, other people start treating you the same way. But it all begins with you. Not your job, not your relationship, not your social circle, you. Your internal state is the command center for everything else. If your inner world is cluttered with doubt, negativity, and self-criticism, you'll find yourself in situations that match that energy. You'll tolerate disrespect, settle for less, and stay in environments that feel heavy, not because that's what you deserve, but because deep down, that's what you believe you're worth. But the moment you shift that belief, everything starts to change. When you decide you're done being available for things that drain you, things that don't value you, things that lower your vibration, life listens. The world starts removing what no longer serves you and delivering what matches your new standard. Truth is, most people want change, but don't realize it begins with the invisible, with the mindset, the energy, the beliefs that quietly shape their decisions. You can't upgrade your life if your self-talk is still rooted in lack. You can't attract peace if you're addicted to reacting. You can't build confidence if you keep feeding fear. The transformation is always internal first. That's the real work. That's the hard part. Because it takes honesty. It takes sitting with yourself and admitting what needs to heal. It takes taking full responsibility for your energy and realizing you're not a victim of your life. You're the creator of it. When you walk into a room believing you belong, people feel that. When you set boundaries with confidence and not guilt, people respect that. When you stop over-explaining, over-apologizing, over-giving, and start standing firm in your value, you stop chasing and start attracting. You stop begging and start receiving. Life will always mirror back what you believe about yourself. That's not just motivation, that's vibration, that's alignment. And alignment doesn't mean everything is perfect. It means you're in tune. It means you trust your intuition more than your insecurities. It means you stay grounded even when things are uncertain, because your inner state isn't tied to what's happening around you. It's built from what's happening within you. That's how you stay centered. That's how you move with intention. That's how you stop reacting to life and start creating it. You don't have to force people to like you, love you, or choose you. When you choose yourself, you naturally attract those who are aligned with you. When your self-worth is intact, rejection doesn't shake you, it redirects you. When your peace is protected, drama can't find you. It's not magic, it's mindset. It's not luck, it's energy. The world is responding to your frequency every second, not your intentions, not your plans, not your words, your energy. So if life feels off, don't rush to fix the outside. Sit with yourself. Get quiet. Ask, what am I thinking? What am I believing? What am I accepting that doesn't match who I want to be? That self-awareness is how you take your power back. Because when you change your inner world, your outer world has no choice but to shift with it. Suddenly, conversations feel different, relationships evolve or fall away, new opportunities pop up, seemingly out of nowhere. But it's not out of nowhere, it's from you, from the version of you that's finally aligned. And the beauty of it all, you don't have to announce this change. You don't have to post about it or prove it. The shift is so real, so undeniable, that the people around you will feel it without you saying a word. They'll notice you move differently. You speak with more clarity. You say no without guilt. You don't entertain nonsense. You don't seek approval. You've upgraded your internal settings, and now everything around you is running on a new system. This isn't about faking positivity. It's about embodying truth. It's about showing up as your highest self, even before the results show up. It's about knowing that your energy sets the tone, that your frequency is the invitation, that your life responds to the way you carry yourself every single day. So if you want life to treat you better, start treating yourself better. If you want more peace, create it within. If you want better relationships, improve the one you have with yourself. The world will always meet you where you're at, not where you pretend to be. That's the secret. That's the shift. And once you make it, nothing will ever be the same. There comes a time in your growth when the smartest thing you can do is step back. Not because you're giving up, not because you're scared, but because your energy is too valuable to waste on things that no longer serve you. Disengaging is not weakness, it's wisdom. It means you've outgrown the need to fight every battle, prove every point, and explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. It's a conscious decision to rise above the noise and protect your peace. Because at some point you realize that elevation requires separation. You cannot grow in environments that constantly pull you back into old patterns. You can't reach new levels if you're still tangled up in the same distractions, whether it's draining relationships, petty arguments, or situations that test your patience and lower your standards. Engaging from all of it is how you reclaim your power. You have to understand that your energy is currency, and you're either investing it or wasting it. And the more you elevate, the more selective you must become. Some people will interpret your silence as arrogance, let them. Some will think your distance is attitude, let them. Some will assume you're cold, rude, or think you're better than them, let them. What they think is none of your business. Your job is not to be liked, it's to be aligned. And the more you step into alignment, the less tolerance you'll have for chaos, drama, gossip, and all the little games people play. You'll start to feel peace in your solitude, strength in your silence, and clarity in your distance. That's when you know you're elevating. It takes strength to stay quiet in the face of disrespect. It takes discipline to not react when someone tries to trigger you. But you realize, over time, that every reaction is an energy exchange, and not everything or everyone is worth that exchange. Just because someone wants to argue doesn't mean you have to show up. Just because someone disrespects you doesn't mean you have to retaliate. Your peace is too expensive to give away for free. Disengaging isn't about running from conflict, it's about choosing your battles. It's about realizing that some things are beneath you now, not because you think you're better, but because you've worked too hard to protect your mindset, your focus, and your emotional balance. You know what it costs you to stay in situations that drain you, and you're no longer willing to pay that price. The elevation process is lonely for a reason. You're not supposed to take everyone with you. Not everyone can come. Some people are tied to the version of you that no longer exists. Some are addicted to your old habits, your old reactions, your old patterns. When you disengage, they lose access to that version of you, and they won't like it. But that's okay. That discomfort is part of the process. That tension is part of the upgrade. Let people feel what they need to feel. Your job is to stay focused on your growth. Every time you disengage from the nonsense, you take another step up. Every time you choose silence over drama, you rise higher. Every time you walk away from something that no longer aligns with your peace, your purpose, or your power, you elevate. This doesn't mean you become cold or disconnected. It means you become clear. It means you become intentional. You stop reacting just to react. You stop defending yourself against people who already made up their minds. You stop over-explaining to people who are even trying to understand. You realize that sometimes the best way to protect your energy is to be unavailable. Unavailable for chaos, unavailable for confusion, unavailable for the same cycles that used to keep you stuck. And the moment you become unavailable for anything that doesn't feed your soul, that's the moment your life begins to shift. Your mind clears, your standards rise, your environment changes, and you start attracting people, places, and experiences that reflect the level you're now operating on. You weren't meant to stay where you've always been. Growth demands that you let go. Sometimes that means letting go of people, sometimes it means letting go of habits, and most of the time it means letting go of the version of you that's stayed too quiet, too small, too accessible. Disengaging allows you to recenter, to recalibrate, to remember who you are and where you're going. You don't have to fight for peace. You protect it. You choose it. And every time you choose to disengage from what distracts or disrespects you, you give yourself more space to evolve. That's not running. That's rising. That's not avoiding. That's advancing. And the people who are meant for you, the situations that are aligned with your next level, they will meet you there, not where you used to be, but where you're going. So don't be afraid to step back. Don't be afraid to stop responding, stop explaining, and stop showing up for what no longer aligns. Disengage, not because you're giving up, but because you're leveling up, because you finally realize that you don't have to prove your value, you just have to protect it. Your life is a reflection of what you consistently give your energy to. Whatever you focus on, you feed. Your attention is not neutral, it's a force. It's either fueling your growth or draining it. Every thought, every emotion, every decision is shaped by what you're locked in on. That's why the saying is so true. Energy goes where attention flows. And if you're not intentional about where your attention goes, your energy will be spent on things that don't serve your future. Think about it. How often do we find ourselves caught in cycles of overthinking, stressing about people who aren't thinking about us, replaying conversations, worrying about outcomes we can't control? That mental loop might feel small, but over time, it eats away at your energy, it drains your motivation, your creativity, and your ability to be present. You can't grow if your mind is constantly fixated on things outside of your control. You can't elevate if your energy is being siphoned off by distractions, negativity, and emotional chaos. Where your attention goes, your reality follows. If you're constantly focused on problems, you'll miss opportunities. If you're focused on what's wrong, you won't see what's possible. But when you start shifting your attention to what you can control, your mindset, your effort, your discipline, your growth, everything starts to shift. It's not magic, it's management. You're managing your energy in a way that supports your purpose instead of sabotaging it. Most people don't have an energy problem, they have a focus problem. Their energy is fine, but it's scattered. It's being wasted on things that aren't moving the needle. They're stuck in comparison, gossip, meaningless drama, or seeking approval from people who don't even know themselves. That kind of focus creates a life of burnout and frustration. It's like trying to run a marathon while dragging weights you were never meant to carry. You can't soar when your attention is chained to what doesn't matter. The shift happens when you become intentional, when you wake up and ask, where is my attention today? What am I choosing to focus on? Is it feeding my future or feeding my fears? That self-awareness is where your power lives, because once you reclaim your focus, you reclaim your energy. And when your energy is aligned, nothing can stop you. Let's be real. The world is loud. There's always something trying to pull at your attention, notifications, news, people's opinions, trends, distractions. But not everything deserves a response. Not every alert deserves your presence. Just because something's loud doesn't mean it's important. Just because it's urgent doesn't mean it's aligned. Your focus is sacred, and the more you protect it, the more powerful you become. When you channel your attention into the right places, your mindset, your goals, your peace, your healing, everything else begins to fall into place. You start creating momentum. Your habits get tighter. Your discipline sharpens. You move with clarity. You feel more grounded, more intentional, more in control of your life. That's what happens when your energy is focused. You're not running around reacting. You're moving with purpose. And here's the thing, you don't need to have it all figured out to be focused. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need to decide that you're no longer available for distractions, that you're no longer giving your energy to things that drain you, that you're done feeding fears, doubts, and insecurities. That decision alone can change everything. When you start pouring your attention into yourself, people will notice. You'll glow differently, you'll speak differently, your boundaries will get stronger, you'll attract better because you're vibrating higher. People may ask what changed, and you won't even need to explain because the change speaks for itself. It's in how you move, how you protect your time, how you guard your peace, how you don't engage like you used to. That's the power of focused energy. It builds silently, but its results are loud. And yes, this takes practice. Focus is a muscle. Some days your mind will wander. Some moments you'll get pulled into things that don't align. That's okay. The point is to notice and realign. That's the real growth, not perfection, but awareness. It's about catching yourself in the middle of old patterns and choosing a different response. Over time, you rewire your mind to focus on what really matters, and your life begins to transform in ways that feel effortless. So if your life feels scattered, drained, or stuck, check your focus. Ask yourself what you're feeding with your attention. Is it helping you become the version of yourself you know you can be? Or is it keeping you small, distracted, and exhausted? You have more control than you think. And the moment you decide to shift your focus, you shift your energy, you shift your reality. Your mind is the engine. Your focus is the steering wheel. Your energy is the fuel. Where are you driving it today? Make it count. We live in a world obsessed with visibility. Everyone wants to be seen, to be heard, to be validated, but real elevation doesn't need an audience. In fact, too much noise can interrupt the process. Too much external input can drown out your internal voice. That's why the most powerful transformations happen in solitude. When you step away from the need to explain, justify, or perform, you create space for deep, meaningful evolution. You begin to hear yourself more clearly. You begin to see what's actually yours and what you've been carrying that never belonged to you. Growth thrives in the quiet because quiet brings clarity. You start to notice the patterns you've been repeating. You begin to question the beliefs that have been running your life. You reflect on your habits, your standards, your boundaries, and slowly you start to shift. Not because someone told you to, not because the world applauded, but because you looked at your life and realized something needed to change. That's real power. That's ownership. That's the kind of growth that sticks. Quiet seasons are sacred. They're not empty. They're full of unseen movement. Healing is happening. Mindsets are being rebuilt. Old identities are falling away. New standards are being set. But from the outside, it might look like nothing's happening. And that's okay. You don't owe the world a progress report. You don't need to prove your growth for it to be real. What matters is how you feel, how you're evolving, how you're showing up differently, even when no one is clapping. It takes maturity to stay low while you're leveling up. It takes strength to keep building when there's no applause. But that's exactly where the magic is. That's where you develop character, resilience, and clarity. That's where you learn to move with intention instead of ego. You stop doing things for attention and start doing them for alignment. You stop trying to be seen and start trying to be solid. Sometimes people will misread your silence. They'll assume you've fallen off, lost focus, or given up. Let them. Their assumptions are none of your business, because while they're watching, you're working. While they're talking, you're transforming. And eventually, the results will speak for themselves. The shift in your energy, the glow in your presence, the peace in your spirit, it'll all be undeniable. And it didn't come from validation. It came from discipline, from being rooted, from staying the course, even when it was quiet. Growth in quiet seasons also teaches you emotional self-control. You stop reacting to everything. You stop explaining yourself to everyone. You learn to sit with discomfort instead of distracting yourself. You learn to process pain without performing it. You stop needing to be understood and start understanding yourself. That kind of growth doesn't scream, it settles, it grounds, it stabilizes. And when you re-enter the world, you come back different, sharper, wiser, less available for nonsense, more focused on what really matters. You walk with a quiet confidence, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you know what you've been through. You know the inner work you've done. And that knowing, that's everything. That's the reward of the quiet season. Self-respect, peace, and inner strength that no one can take from you. So if you're in a space right now where you feel distant, quiet, or unseen, don't rush to escape it. Don't think you're falling behind. You're not. You're becoming. You're building something that can't be faked or fast-tracked. The quiet is not a punishment. It's preparation. It's where the roots are growing deeper so the tree can grow taller. It's where your foundation is being strengthened so when life gets loud again, you don't break. The ones who make the most noise aren't always the ones making the most progress. Sometimes the ones you don't hear about are doing the deepest work. The people growing the most are often the ones you don't see because they're not chasing attention. They're chasing alignment. They're not showing off the journey, they're living it. Let the world do what it does. Let others post, perform, and project. You stay grounded, stay focused, stay in the quiet if that's where your growth is happening. You don't need to be seen to be valuable. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. Sometimes the most transformative thing you can do is go silent, go inward, and do the work. Because when you come out of that season, you won't need to say a word. Your evolution will say it all.